They sure are. And it's interesting, it's not just the players who are coming. The power base is almost shifting out to the Far East now because they've got 6 of the 25 big events in every single year. So, stand by for a lot more of the Chinese cumin coming our way. So the guys at Victoria's Academy have just about everything, maybe apart from one new coaching guide, which is the brainchild of the very brainy Chris Henry. What's he come up with, Steve Davis?
The biggest problem for a snooker player, especially for the professionals, is being able to strike the cue ball in the centre when you need to, without any unwanted side. Now, I'm here with Chris Henry, who's been a coach to many of the top professional snooker players. Without giving any names away, any confiding, I'm sure that's been a problem that a lot of professional players have come to you with.
I think it's actually the main problem, Steve. To strike the cue ball where intended is not an easy thing to do. And also on the other side, where to aim intended as well. And those two things put together is not the simplest habit to create. So what I've done here, I've created something very interesting. It's a product called the bowls, and what we've done is we've taken the weight of these bowls down from 143 grams, which is a standard weight, down to 17 grams. And the reason we've done that is to allow for the ultimate feedback for the player and also for the coach, so that we can see the same issues if there are problems.
OK, so coach me.
OK.
Yeah.
Well, this ball is slightly weighted, so what we do is we let it settle. And once it's settled, we're going to place it in the intended place. And what I'd like you to try and attempt to do here, Steve, is to strike the cue ball slightly below centre.
OK.
With the intention of sending it into that far corner pocket, with the speed as if you were going to play a long stun shot on a red for the black ball.
It's easy.
Easy?
Well,
OK, let's see if you can
well, it would be with a normal cue ball. OK.
OK.
Fair. So I've just got to strike the centre of the ball.
Yeah, and send it straight into the corner pocket, yeah.
Whoa.
Now,
OK, well, it went off to the left, so I assume I put right-hand side spin on.
Well, exactly, and that's an interesting point, cue ball physics. When you strike a cue ball on the right-hand side, it pushes it to the opposite side, left. If you strike it on the left-hand side, it pushes it to the right. So as we saw there, the ball went to the left of the intended line of aim, which means you unintentionally struck right-hand side spin on the cue ball.
And it magnified it. I would have still got the white ball in with a normal size, with a normal weighted white ball. So this is magnifying the error.
Well, that's exactly the issue. With a standard 143-gram cue ball, that ball would have still entered the pocket, and you would not have been able to identify any issues.
OK, so normally the way to judge if you're putting accidental side spin on, up and down the spots.
Right.
And then you see where it comes off the cushion. But of course, you could play snooker, you could still pot the balls with accidental side spin on.
Yeah, and what we're talking about here, exactly, what we're talking about here is practicing within a tighter tolerance level. And if you practice within a tighter tolerance level and habitualise that, then it just becomes easier to play with a heavier ball, because by habit you're now being able to control a light ball.
OK, so I can just keep on whacking this until I can stop however I do it, not saying the mechanics. I can self-correct the mechanics.
What I would suggest in this situation, because of the brain and how it sees through the visual cortex, we start to develop habitual vision. Now, you were convinced that you were striking in the middle of the ball.
OK.
But you applied right-hand side spin. What I would advise in this situation, first of all, could you attempt, from your perspective, to strike that cue ball with a trace of what you believe is the left-hand side, just a little bit of left.
OK.
And that maybe will fix that issue for you.
So 2 wrongs might make a right.
Well,
a bit like Judd Trump. OK, so fractional left-hand side spin.
It looks like a little trace of left for you, yeah.
OK. And then as I go through, I'm just going to let the cue go.
Just play it naturally as you would normally, yeah. Now that was a lot better.
A lot closer.
Yes. So now you've actually got to the jaw of the pocket. But what the ball demonstrated was you still applied a trace of right-hand side spin.
Really?
So it would be another slight adjustment. Now, just on that point, with repetition of consciously addressing the cue ball in a slightly different position...
You get used to it.
The brain starts to relearn. And that little trace of left-hand side would begin to look like centre ball striking. And that's very interesting.
OK, so you've got 2 balls, though. You've got a red and a white ball.
Yes. Yes, this one now it's the same weight, it's 17 grams, and this has been designed to look at the second most important point. The striking of the cue ball is important, but of course the aiming of the shot is also very important. So what we can do with this ball, and it's 17 grams as I said, we can use a standard cue ball, 143 grams, but the interesting thing with this ball is if you don't contact that ball in the middle, because it's light, it will go offline more than a standard red. So it clearly would show you if your aiming was off. So in this particular instance, we could set up the ball, we'll let the ball settle, place it on the blue spot, standard cue ball on the baulk line with a straight pot.
Okay.
And you're going to play a stun shot. Imagine you're going to pot the red in your mind and stop the cue ball where the red is, so slightly below centre, medium speed.
I've gone back to hitting the middle of the ball, though.
Okay, that's fine.
In my opinion.
Yes.
Oh, well, I was miles off. It wasn't the greatest hit, but once again...
Well, you potted it.
I've got a little bit of right-hand spin on, and that red went a long way to the left.
So, with that amount of side spin on your cue ball, the standard cue ball, the red ball went excessively to the left. Now, what that means is you were aiming slightly right of the intended contact point on the red from your perspective.
So this is great for somebody to test themselves to see if they're putting accidental side spin on, and of course with the coach's help they may well be then able to correct that fault.
They can do that, and they can also relearn how to aim the shot correctly, and in combination with the striking and the aiming, then a player with that very tight tolerance must improve their level.
Chris, you're nearly becoming as interesting as me. I hope that made a lot of sense. It did to me.
Well, that's something, isn't it? Yeah. It is fascinating, though, and there's hope for Steve, yeah, it would appear. You?
Well, I've just been given a set of those by Chris very kindly. Oh, I can miss with the normal ones. I mean, how bad would it be with those? But I tell you what, if you can hit those balls properly and get in the middle, you are striking the middle of the white. So it's a good idea, but you've really got to be on your knock with them.
Well, it's all about hard work, isn't it? Yeah,
OK,
and that might be
I'll put the hours in.
OK.